I'm Suman Bajaj Kalra. I've been a media professional for 3 decades and primarily working in television and occasionally in radio and print media. My love for writing drew me to the media world, and that love just intensified when I saw its magical effect across media, be it radio, television, or the internet. A challenge that I constantly throw at myself is, are my readers moved to react and express that reaction? That is the real test. I do not believe people when they say that they cannot write. If they can speak, they can as well write. It just needs a little more thought to structuring the content and putting it in expressive language. Art of writing is crucial to personality development, presentation skills, and excellent communication. It helps to organize thoughts logically and express them effectively.
Most people have a problem about how to begin writing. There are several methods which can be used for writing. One of the methods is streams of consciousness writing, where you just take a piece of paper or your computer or laptop and you just begin writing whatever comes to your mind continuously for 3 minutes non-stop without thinking about what you're going to be writing about. And then when you stop, you usually manage to reread and get ideas from whatever you've written. It could be just a sentence which strikes you as perhaps the beginning of a plot which you could start writing about, or the idea which comes through which from this writing. Perhaps you could also use something like what we use visual prompts. You look at a photograph and you use that visual as a starting point for beginning your writing.
Since the very beginning, I had a deep passion for writing. I was always interested in writing. Like in my school days, I used to write for my magazines and participate in different things, which included writing as an important aspect. So it gave me a lot of chance to, develop my passion for this. And I've always felt that, my experiences, whatever I have done during my school days and college years, I could always pen them down, and it gave me a lot of personal space to explore and write my ideas and thoughts and give them a platform to others to share with them.
I've always been interested in writing, and since my school days I've been actively involved in writing and contributing to the school magazine, and even during my graduation days when I studied literature, I have been involved with my college magazine, and writing has more or less been a habit.
It is developing my own skill because firstly it gives me a lot of personal space. So when it gives me personal space, so I can always experiment with my own style of writing. It has given me my own individual style of writing, and by reading others' writing, I can also improve upon my own writing, reflect upon it, give time and improvise.
Writing immensely contributes towards one's development as a person, because it makes one more aware of his surroundings and also helps him to express himself better through words.
I think as a beginner, the most important factor is that you tend to write a lot. And the most important thing is to cut down what important things are there to mention, what is not. So you always have to be very precise, concise, to the point, just mention important things and the kind of style you're writing. So you have to keep experimenting and learning new things.
As a beginner, since you don't have too much experience in writing, you have a tendency of getting carried away by your own writing. And so what is important, I feel, is to be a voracious reader and also be aware of the different writing styles of different writers, and get constant advice from people who are involved in the same field.
Writing is central to all the media, be it print, radio, television, or the web. The difference lies only in the style of writing, based on whether there is a visual element to it and how formal or informal is that media. We write when we mean to convey something by way of informing, convincing, entertaining, or merely communicating. The process begins with a thought or a subject in mind, followed by research. The subject is analyzed and given a shape by supporting it with facts and logical arguments. A person writing for mass media has to go through this process with great care and all the creative abilities at his or her command. A mass media professional has also to be very clear about who the end reader is. Once these are defined, one is ready to write. A good writer keeps the content, the purpose of writing, and the target reader in view. Effective and powerful writing is that which presents the subject in a most informative, acceptable, clear, and innovative manner. Such writing fulfills its purpose and is also a source of knowledge, pleasure, satisfaction to the reader.
Visual prompts are really helpful. You could pick up perhaps just a color from the image, or a character from that image which interests you, or you could pick up something in the background which interests you. This usually works very well. Then we have things like when we just listen to a piece of music perhaps, or you watch a movie. The ideas are everywhere. It's all around us in our lives. We have to just be more observant, more keen about seeing how people act, how people behave, what the stories of their lives are. We have a story everywhere. So if we are looking as a writer to find those stories, we will definitely get them. There are also prompts which people use, like we give situations. Well, in this situation, what kind of a dialogue would take place? Given that situation, as a prompt, we write dialogues so that we then through the act and through the dialogue between two people or three people, the story comes about.
As a career, as an aspiring journalist, I feel that writing can give me opens a lot of options as a career, be it a journalist or a content writer or a news reporter, be it in business writing and other stuff. So it gives a lot of opportunities as a writer.
A career in writing is certainly a possibility, be it as a creative writer or as a journalistic writer. Both the fields are quite exciting and quite appealing to me. So I think that there is a possibility of me being a writer in the near future.
It is important that the central subject of writing is well defined. Secondly, know the exact purpose of writing. Is it imparting information? Is it persuasive writing? Is it with a view to entertain, or is it just to change the mindset? Research is required to support the statement with facts and logical arguments. They add credibility to writing. Facts and arguments should be arranged in a logical order, making the article comprehensive with an easy flow of reading. Keep in mind the profile of the target readership, their educational and awareness level, as well as cultural orientation while writing. Use simple language which is easily understood by the reader it is intended for. Be original, innovative, interesting, and engaging so that the reader is motivated to read till the end. Effective writing is something to say, and it says it very convincingly. All writing is persuasive in nature. This is all the more so in the case of writing for the mass media. You have to be convinced yourself before you can convince others. Conviction comes from the presentation of facts and arguments in a logical manner and simple language.
What I often do is I give a situation to the students and I ask them to write a dialogue based on that situation. For example, you say a man is coming out of the house and he is not supposed to be there, but he's gone in there looking for his wife, and his wife is supposed to be in the house, but she's out somewhere, and she's coming back into the house. So, and the husband has to tell the wife something, and the wife is trying to hide something from the husband. And you give that kind of a situation, and then you say, okay, how will the dialogue portray this? Only through the dialogue and the body language which you are going to talk about, write about as a writer, you'd have to portray this whole situation. So this is how the imagination and the flow and the story starts evolving through the writing. The other thing one has to keep in mind that in any story you have to have your hero or heroine, that is the protagonist, the main character, and you have to have a conflict situation which that character trying to resolve, or a second character is trying to resolve with another character, they're trying to resolve this conflict. And what happens in the end? The resolution has to take place in some form or the other, or there is no resolution, but there is some kind of an understanding that, well, okay, things will get either better or worse, and that is left to the reader's imagination now. The whole thing which is good about having a story which you've written is you lead the reader into that space, and you tell your reader, you write from your viewpoint, but the reader will be reading it from his viewpoint, and he'll be coming from his own space to that story. So for every reader, what you've written will have a different meaning, but the essence of the story will remain as you are telling it and as you want to tell it as a writer. So it's very essential to have your own style, your own unique way of writing. But as a beginning writer, the first thing which you have to keep in mind is that you have to have passion, you have to have commitment, you have to have discipline, and you have to be a dreamer. So you have to have all these things, and you have to take the time out to do your writing. However busy you may be, if you are a writer who's committed to your craft, who's committed to your talent, who's committed to your art, and who feels that you need to write, that you have a story to tell the world, then you have to put it down on paper, or you have to put it down on the computer. There's one more thing I want to tell you all, is that it is not enough to write. You have to put it out in the world, because if you are going to write it and put it in your drawer, then nobody will have the time or the opportunity to read your writing or share your thoughts the way you want to share them with the world.
Any writing has three basic segments. First is introduction to the statement or the central argument. The second is the main body of the piece, which contains facts and arguments. And thirdly, conclusion which emerges from the first two parts. The beginning of any writing not only presents the subject, but also carries a huge responsibility of creating curiosity and whetting the appetite of reader to read the entire piece. It also indicates the purpose of writing. At times, it achieves this effect by raising questions, starting with an attention grabber, a very novel and revolutionary statement, by approaching the subject from an entirely new angle not attempted before. The conventional approach of gradually introducing the subject and the background to the reader in a lucid manner. The introduction is always brief, leading up to the main and longest part of the article, which contains all the facts and arguments to support and substantiate your central theme. The facts have to be arranged in a very logical manner, one leading to the other very rationally. This third segment emerges from the first two and is brief. It reinstates the statement with clarity and precision, in support of which the facts and the arguments were presented.
Business writing involves writing MOUs, reports, and proposals, basically content aimed at sustaining or soliciting business.
A mass media professional is required to write in different genres for different media, requiring a particular style which is dependent on and determined by the following factors. Number one is the nature of the subject. Then comes the identity of the reader it is aimed at, followed by the purpose of writing, the nature of the media the writing is meant for, Is it formal and official writing, or is it creative writing like a novel, poetry, or copywriting for an advertisement? Now let's deal with them in a little more detail. The language of the writing should be suitable to the subject. A science story is written with precision, without embellishments or emotional pitch, whereas a fashion show is reported with adjectives and descriptions using language suited to the light-hearted subject. It is very important to know who we are writing for. The educational level and the cultural orientation of the reader impact the style of writing. Very simple language is used when writing for less aware and educated reader, while for well-educated and aware people, one can raise the standard. However, difficult words are to be avoided at all cost.
The most important qualities that a writer must have is that he or she should be very well read, and when you are well read, you have many perspectives to that reflect on your own writing. So the person should be well read, he should be a good observant, and he should be a good listener, because when you listen to people, you build in more perspective, and that reflects in your writing. So, and the writer should be well traveled, because it gives you more experiences, and when you have more experiences, you can write better.
First of all, a writer, in order to be a good writer, should be a voracious reader and read all kinds of stuff, be it literature, journalistic writing, and also be aware of the surroundings and the world around him, and also must have a penchant for expressing himself clearly through words.
If the purpose of writing is merely to impart information, then facts and precision are important. If the objective is to convince and change the mindset, then the facts have to be coupled with logical arguments and explanations. The style of writing also depends on the character of the media one is writing for. Some media are more informal and personalized, like FM radio, while the others are more formal, like the newspaper. While writing for print is formal and totally word-centric, writing for television is more informal and equally dependent on visuals, reducing the dependence on words. The audience profile may also differ a little. Formal writing is to the point, simple, direct, and as brief as possible, so that the central statement comes in sharp focus and the purpose of the written piece is achieved. It is generally for the mass media with a mixed readership. Informal writing is more personalized, as the name suggests. It allows for more creativity, imagination, and play of language. It need not be too direct and official. It, in a way, appeals to the reader's emotions. Ideal examples are story or novel writing, travelogue, poetry, cookery column, and copywriting for an advertisement.
As a writer, there are certain do's and don'ts which you have to keep in mind. The first is that please write and please read, because you have to be a reader in order to be a writer. Once you start writing, send your work out to editors and publishers. When you're sending work out, read the submission guidelines carefully, read what the editor wants, read whether you're writing to the right genre, sending your work out to the right magazine or to the right journal or the right anthology, because there are different kinds of writing and there are different kind of demands and there are different kind of wants and the different kind of readers. Having said that, also have patience. Don't be rejected, don't feel dejected that you've got so many rejections or people are not appreciating your work, because there's always a takeoff point and there's always a point where you finally make it, and you have to be committed to your craft and send it out. That's the first thing. The second thing which I think you have to do is take risks. Take risks do the chance pay dance, because without taking risks, you'd still be in your comfort zone, you won't step out. The third thing I'd like to say is that have a critique group, have people who appreciate your writing and give positive feedback, and whenever they're criticizing your work, they're also being appreciative of what the positive aspects are. So you learn as you grow. Don't have people who are negative and saying, oh, this doesn't work, but they don't tell you why it doesn't work. I think these are the basic points which you have to keep in mind, and I wish you all the best in your writing career.
Normal and professional writing, they are quite different in the sense that personal writing gives you more personal space to experiment, whereas in business writing or professional writing, you have a limited space and you can't experiment much. You have to be precise, you have to be concise, you have to fulfill the needs of the reader or the person for whom you're going to write.
The main difference that I see between normal and professional writing is that in professional writing you have to stick to the facts and maintain language which is simple and lucid, rather than going for a lot of creativity which might hamper your professional writing.
For the business, you have to be you have to follow a particular pattern, which is like if you're writing a business letter, then you don't have to be informal. You have to be formal. You have to use don't use passive words or passive verbs. You have to be active. You have to be be concise and precise, and you have to write less, do more with less things, with less writing. So all these things are important, and you have to be strategic and be organized in your writing.
First of all, writing for business requires the writer to be thoroughly knowledgeable with the subject he's writing on. He should have a fair knowledge of the business field. And secondly, since business writing is different from creative writing, he should keep the language simple. And also what is important is that there are a lot of jargons and technical terms involved with business writing. So he should have the capacity to simplify them for the readers who are reading the articles.
Interesting and engrossing, easy to understand, uses simple language, directness of communication, clarity of thought and expression, original and creative. The very first step is to write frequently so that you overcome the hesitation and fear of writing. The more you write, the better you will become at the expression and the use of language. Always keep the objective of writing in mind and stay focused. Here are some of the principles you can follow. Read, write, and observe extensively. Make a habit of reading all kinds of writing and be very well informed. Start with a positive state of mind. It puts the mind in an imaginative mode and inspires a desire to communicate. Be original. Novelty always attracts attention and engages the reader. Define the subject in your mind before you start writing. Do research to collect facts. The better you know your subject, greater would be your confidence and ease of writing. Organize your thoughts, material, and arguments in a logical order depending on the purpose of writing and the readership. This will also give connectivity and flow to your writing. Be convinced before you attempt to convince others. Some kind of role playing is required to anticipate the queries and the mindset of the reader. Try and imagine what would interest and satisfy them. Try and fulfill their expectations and answer those queries. Get the facts straight and write crystal clear. Be brief and to the point. Some genres require you to be creative, flowery and elaborative. Most do not. The most important step after you finish writing is to revise your writing objectively and critically. In all probability, you would require merciless editing or even rewriting. This refinement is a must. It will make a huge difference to the quality of your writing.
Yes, I would say partly, like not very well, but yes, in my college I got to know about these content writers. They would have advertisements in our college, so we would go through them, and I personally also I did a bit of business writing where we had to write letters for organizations where they need sponsors. So in that sense, I got an exposure for business writing.
As a school student, I will say I was not aware of it, but as during my college days and now during my student days in Jamia, I have been exposed to lots of new forms of writing like content writing or different kinds of journalistic writing like business writing, which involves you to write articles or stories which are business related. So there is great prospect in this field, and I feel that that one can obviously make a career out of it.
I think the best way would be to expose the students to business writing by inviting people who are into this field to colleges and let them give a orientation or a kind of seminar where they can, get to know about what actually business writing is and how they can, get into it. And so seminars or maybe advertisements in colleges. So all these can help in inviting students to participate.
Basically, by interaction with people who are involved in it, and I think in order to create greater awareness of this field and the prospects, students can have programs organized by their institution or by the faculty which tells them about this, and I think that is the best way to know about it, because people who come from different backgrounds may not be knowing about this. So I think it's the prerogative of the institution to bring them in touch with this new field of writing.
This is all for today. I hope you liked this lecture and you found it useful. All the very best. Keep your creative juices flowing and please do write. Thank you and goodbye. See you soon.